Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Ella, and I have a special guest with me today.
Hi, I'm Kylie.
And today we're going to be talking about things that don't make sense, and I'm going to start us off. The first thing that I have, which like everybody says, is Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Because how?
How does it work with your phone? Like, why is it so like... And how can every place have it, but somehow it always connects to your phone?
Yeah.
Like, what like system or something is going on that makes it like that? Like, it's very confusing.
In Wi-Fi, like how does my phone know my Wi-Fi and like other people's phone know their Wi-Fi, like just based off like where they are? And like if I'm like leaving my house and I'm like a couple like neighbor or a couple houses down, how does like it just like disconnect?
I think Bluetooth is more confusing for me. Like, how does your phone just randomly connect to another like tiny little device? What is... Because like with Wi-Fi you have like the satellites and stuff, yeah, but like with Bluetooth...
Yeah.
And first of all, who even created Bluetooth? Who was just thinking,
Yeah,
I want something to be wireless that I can connect to.
Is it getting like connected like through the air? I don't understand.
I don't get it either. It really does not make any sense to me. Like, there's probably like a chip or something, but like where?
Yeah.
How are you
Like,
fitting it in
where-
that tiny
yeah.
little box? Where the phone is like this thick. How are you
Not
doing
even.
that?
This is how thick a phone is. And you're gonna tell me that is... I don't understand.
That makes no sense to me.
It's here, number one.
Things that don't make sense to me. Letters in math. Why do we have letters in math? Why are we switching subjects?
Yeah.
No.
Why? And since when did like who was a person that was like, oh, a triangle is math?
Right.
Prove that this is a triangle. It has three sides.
Who said
like,
that x is an unknown variable? Why couldn't it just been like 0?
Yes.
Like, why did it have to be a letter?
Mm-hmm.
There's
why
no reason.
is letters like even involved in math in the first place? Like, why can't there just be like 1 equals this instead of x equals this? Like, it's too confusing for
Yeah,
the
because
brain.
x always equals 1. So why can't you just put a 1 there?
Yeah.
There's no need for the x.
Yeah.
Or y equals, couldn't it just be like 0? Because you don't know what it is? I genuinely, that makes me so confused, and it makes me mad.
Or like, I remember freshman year, the y equals mx plus b, like, what is this called again? Like, it's intercept form, but why can't it just be called intercept form? And why does it have to be y equals mx plus b, and why can't it be 1, 2 equals 3 plus 4? Like, I don't know. It's just so, like, weird to me.
That, it is mind-boggling. And it just makes everything
Mind-boggling.
it just makes everything 20 times more confusing than it needs to be.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, visually and, like, physically. Like, to physically do it.
Agreed.
Another one that I have that does not make sense to me, which is probably like the most like important one to me, is medicine. Because how is this like tiny little tablet gonna help my headache go away? And just like things like that, or like anxiety, like in like antidepressant pills. Like, how does this make me feel better? And it's just like a white little thing. Like, I just don't understand it.
Right. How does like the pill find what's hurting? Because if it's like not like there's different pills for different things. Like, if my ankle hurt, I don't take one pill. It's all like Advil or ibuprofen.
Yeah.
How does it help? That's just weird. Like,
Yeah.
is it like a placebo effect where it's like your brain thinks that because you
That's
took
what
the
I'm
pill,
saying.
it just like goes away? Or does it actually do something?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
And like the same with like the medicine, like creams, like kind of like the icy hot.
Right.
Like how does the icy hot make it like actually more cold? Like,
Right.
But like if it's on the outside, like let's say my knee is hurting, if I put it on the outside of my knee, how is it gonna help like the tendon inside of my body?
Right.
That just is again, like, is it a placebo effect? Does it actually work? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and then like just with medicine as a whole, like even with shots, like,
Oh my
how does
gosh.
that protect? Like, what?
Vaccines.
Like, what? That's
and
just
what
confusing.
is in them, like medicine obviously as a whole, and like what is like in them, like obviously there's like stuff from the periodic table. I don't know, I have no idea, but like how do people know like the right amount or the right like substances and things like that? It's like so much, and there are so many different medicines. It's like, it's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. That's a good word to use.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
I know. Ever since you said that, now I'm just like, want to keep on saying it.
Right. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me, daylight savings. How does one day it randomly just becomes dark at 4 p.m.? It's one day, and they say, oh, it's daylight savings. Next day, it's dark at 4 p.m. How? Mm-hmm. There's no way you can just randomly pick a day and be like, this is daylight savings. It's going to change that day. And then it does. No. No.
And then it does.
I'm going to go with no, because how does that work? How?
Yeah.
And then it's same with summer. It's like, so I think actually summer starts here, back. Yeah. And then it's not dark until 10 p.m. It's like, what? That makes my brain hurt. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't know what's going on with that. Like that time with like days too, like Groundhog Day. How does this determine whenever the day spring is gonna start?
Right.
It's just like, is it like a made up thing?
Who came up with that?
And if it isn't even a made up thing because it actually happens. Like, how do people know? How do people know?
I don't.
Or like the weather. Like, how do they know that it's gonna be sunny on this day? Like, how do they know that it is going to snow on like a month from now? How? I don't get it.
I feel like they're just making predictions and they're just saying, oh, yep, I think that's right. And then somehow just always comes true.
Yeah.
Like, that's just weird.
It's like, I don't know. That has always been confusing for me too. Like the weather. Like, how do you know? And like, how do you know like the temperature is this and not like a couple like degrees off?
I could not tell you. It hurts my brain just thinking about it.
The last one that I have is outer space, because how do we know that there is like, so obviously there's us on the earth, and then there's like our atmosphere, and then there's our solar system, which like all of the 8 of the planets, and then we have them like the Milky Way as a whole. But how do we know that like we have other galaxies, and then outside of the galaxies there's universes, and then there's like multiple universes? How? Like, we've never experienced them, and people like have like the colors of them and like all of this, but how do you know that there's more outside, and that it just keeps on going on and on and on and on, and that we're like not inside of like this box?
Right. That makes no sense either. It just is like, there's definitely something that we are missing very badly.
Yes.
Like somebody's been like circling around it, and just like there's a one spot that you have not reached, and it's really terrifying. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's all terrifying. First of all, how have we not blown up? Also, because like the sun's super hot, and like I'm just confused with all of it. Like, why? And why are we in like a dome? Why is it not square?
Yeah.
Why are we in a sphere?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me about that. That's what I want to know.
Are you an earth flatter?
No, it's just no, because you can see, like if you look up at night or something, it's mostly at night. You can tell. You can tell. So I know the Earth is not flat, and I know it's a sphere because every other planet's a sphere too. Mm-hmm. Pluto, is Pluto real or not? I don't know. That makes no sense to me.
Because it like out of nowhere, like I didn't even know when, but it like out of nowhere became a not planet anymore. Like whenever, like, what did they call that? A dwarf planet, right? Like, and they were like, oh, it's not a planet anymore, but it was. So how did it just randomly not become one?
Right.
Like who was the person that was like, this is just not gonna be a thing anymore?
Exactly. Like, and sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Like, can you make up your mind? Can you just appear?
Yeah.
Like, can we just put you in the solar system?
Like, are you in or are you out? Let's please.
That's what I'm thinking. The other thing that does not make sense to me, deja vu.
Oh.
That makes no sense to me. How can you feel like you've already lived something if you haven't? But you haven't. Yes. But you don't remember the dream about it or something. That is mind-boggling to me. The mind. I just like the word.
Oh, I never even. Sorry, you probably heard that. That I never even thought about that, because every single time that I have deja vu, it doesn't even feel like it happened one time. Like, for sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like the 3rd time this has happened to me. This is the 4th time that it's happening to me, And then whenever I say like out loud, oh my god, like I'm having deja vu, and then I'm like, oh, that person's like about to drop their apple on the floor, and then like it doesn't happen, and then I'm like hang on, because this is what happened in my mind.
Exactly.
And I watched it happen, but then it didn't happen.
Right. Because I remember the first time I ever had deja vu. I remember this very vividly in kindergarten. There's this kid with a feather, and I was like, oh, he's gonna drop the feather. He didn't drop the feather. I was like, what? I knew he was gonna drop the feather, but he didn't. And I'm like, that's really strange, because it's like almost like you're living through the motion like again, and like, but it's not, it's different. So I'm like, how does that work, and what causes that to occur? Because it's not like you're sleeping or anything. You're awake and you're just like thinking you're dreaming, and it's really freaky. It's really, really freaky.
And like you can tell that it like hasn't been in a dream before, because like a dream feels much different than deja vu.
And you can usually tell when you're sleeping in a dream. But deja vu, you're awake. You just think that you're dreaming. It's that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I remember the first time I had deja vu, I asked my grandpa, I was like something, I just had a repeat of something that I like thought that I lived, and he was like, oh, like that's deja vu. I'm like okay, like what does it mean? And how does it happen, all this? And he's like, I don't know, like it's just something that like the brain does. But like,
how?
How
does the brain just randomly do that, or make you think that you've already done that?
All right, I think that's all that we got today. Thank you for listening to our things that don't make sense, and I hope you have a good day.